The chains did not come off when the desert crossing ended. For thousands of enslaved Africans forced across the Sahara, arriving at the slave markets marked the beginning of an even darker chapter. Exhausted, dehydrated, and often wounded from the brutal journey, survivors were gathered in crowded trading centers across North Africa and parts of the Middle East. Cities like Tripoli, Cairo, Timbuktu, and Marrakesh became major hubs of human trade. Here, human lives were displayed as commodities. Men, women, and children were forced to stand or kneel before traders and buyers. Their bodies were inspected like livestock. Teeth were checked to estimate age and strength. Muscles were examined to determine labor potential. Some were branded. Others were beaten if they resisted. Families who survived the desert together were often separated forever during these auctions. Mothers were torn from children. Husbands were sold far from their wives. Siblings vanished into different households or regions, never to see each other again. For many, their identity ended at that market. Their names were replaced, their language forbidden, their culture erased. Once sold, enslaved Africans were forced into different forms of labor, depending on what buyers demanded. Many men were sent into harsh physical labor. They worked in salt mines, plantations, construction projects, and caravan transport systems. The work was exhausting and dangerous. Injury or sickness often meant abandonment or death. Women were frequently forced into domestic servitude, where they cleaned homes, cooked, or served elite households. Many were also subjected to sexual exploitation, stripped of control over their own bodies and lives. Children were raised in servitude, trained from a young age to serve the households or estates of their owners. Generations grew up knowing nothing but bondage. Among the most horrifying practices was the widespread castration of enslaved African males. Young boys and men were often mutilated to create eunuchs, enslaved servants who were considered less threatening and easier to control. Eunuchs were frequently used to guard royal courts, harems, and elite households. The process was extremely dangerous and brutally performed without proper medical knowledge or anesthesia. Many victims died from infection, blood loss, or shock. Historical accounts suggest that only a small number survived the procedure. Those who survived lived the rest of their lives physically altered, unable to have families, their lineage permanently erased. This practice also reduced the chances of enslaved populations reproducing independently, ensuring continued reliance on slave trading networks. Beyond physical suffering, enslaved Africans faced systematic attempts to erase their identity. Languages were banned. Traditional religions were suppressed.